Hey everyone, welcome to the weekly brainstorm. I see a bunch of new faces today. It's awesome to see, and of course we have a few regulars as well. Let me just try and take a little bit of like a 2 minutes just to introduce the weekly brainstorm and what the concept is. Typically, we have one founder come, take stage, introduce their startup, right? Kind of sharing what they do. And then for the next 30 to 40 minutes, we request everyone in the audience to just put themselves in the shoes of the founder, right? And therefore, like, let's say for the next 30 minutes, you are the CEO of the startup, right? That's it. Just take 30 minutes off and assume you're the CEO of the startup. Now, what would you do to make this succeed, right? I mean, that's the fundamental question that we are trying to answer, right? We have today Nidhi. She's doing something very interesting in the kids space. I let her talk about it. Unfortunately, video is a problem for some reason, so she will talk. She will share a screen, etc. But yeah, so over to you, Nidhi. Broadly, and use the chat whenever you want to either ask a question or leave a suggestion for the founder. I will pull folks up, right? As soon as I see something in chat, I'm always looking at the chat section. I will pull people up who want to share something with Nidhi. You can raise your hand, you can come on stage. It is a brainstorm. So we try and not worry about how wacky is the idea or how right is the idea, right? So brainstorms are meant to be, yeah, all over the place, right? So there's no right answer, wrong answer in this session, at least, right? So it's just free to brainstorm, and we are just trying to figure out if something fruitful comes out of it. It typically tends to be extremely useful for the founder, right? So, Nidhi, over to you to get started talking. If you want to share something, or over to you.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I'm very excited to be here, and I quite look forward to hearing from each of you. I'll start by a quick introduction of myself and why the Children's Post started, and then go on to the questions that we typically have. So I'm an MBA graduate, and after that, I had a long corporate career with HCL Tech, SAP Consulting, Kane Energy and stuff. And when my son was 8, I quit full time working to spend more time with him, stayed home. And then my work has been in the areas of HR, IT, and I run an NGO, so also CSR, community work and all. So one of the patterns I observed was that people who, when we are hiring people who walk into the room, they're very, very bright people. But the selection ratio is obviously not 100%. And over 12, 15 years, I noticed a pattern that the people we were selecting were fairly diverse. But the people we were rejecting had one thing in common, and that was that they were not able to discuss current affairs. So then I got thinking that why is it that we are not able to select people who are, not able to discuss current affairs or not bringing that. And I realized that once you've gone through the experience and what have you done and your education and stuff, how do you assess the analytical ability of a person? How do you assess how they're going to take a problem and approach the solution? The only way for us to do that in a neutral manner is to discuss something in current affairs, bring a piece of news, and ask, okay, what do you think of this? And see how many perspectives they bring to the table, what is their analytical thought process, things like that. So when my son turned 8, I said, but as a parent, I place very few imperatives on you. You will get up and read the newspaper every single morning. There's no choice about it. So then I started looking for a daily newspaper for my child, and I looked for a year, and I got to know a lot about children's publications in India, but we did not get a daily newspaper for the child. And that is how the Children's Post of India was started. It's currently, even now, 3 years later, the only daily available for home subscription in India. There is Times News in Education and HD, but they're available only through the school. So, and the other issue was obviously the quality of content that one saw. So this product is curated by parents every single morning. The other challenge is that we are the first print at home publication, which means it can be printed on simple A4 size paper anywhere on any home or office printer, which during Corona was a huge opportunity for us because for at least 2 months we were the only newspaper reaching the houses. And so that is about the product. I will quickly show you a sample of the paper, and then we have this year created two digital assets based on the needs that we saw in the children. We pay a lot of attention to the children. Ishwar, how can I share screen here? Okay.
Yeah, there's an arrow button below.
So this is what the paper looks like. It is typically 4 pages, sometimes goes on to 6 or 7 pages. Is the screen visible?
Yeah, screen is visible. Folks, you can try and make this full screen so that you can see it better. There's an option to make it full screen.
So this is the first page is typically news. The second, third, and fourth pages are feature. We have a content tie-up with the British Council, which appears every Wednesday. Would you like to see another sample paper, or should we continue?
I think we can. I mean, if it's going to be basically, there are different sections as far as I understand, right? I mean,
Yes.
you have an architectural section, a science section, probably something in sport. So, like a typical newspaper, and I guess the key difference is you're saying it's a print at home newspaper, right? So you're actually not um, uh, delivering anything to them. You're just allowing them to download and print.
Yes, exactly. So there's no physical delivery involved.
Nice. Okay.
So I will stop sharing this one. Okay, so yes, there are multiple sections, and almost 70% of our non-news content now comes from the children. And the beauty of this thing is obviously you're always dealing in positive news, child-friendly news, but also that we have learned a lot about children as a community and huge engaged readership. So what one of my friends said very nicely was that it's not that you are taking adult news and converting them in simple language for children. It is that you're reporting for children, and that's the key difference. Uh,
Right.
and and then what happened was we realized that a lot of our children are now with online classes and all. They are also trying to read their news online. So obviously we know that that is not exactly. I mean, I wouldn't trust my child on a Times of India or HT or a mainstream news website. So we started this news portal. I will share screen again. This is a news portal that brings only the news section of the paper every day. And again, the USP of this is that it has content in English and Hindi. So here is where you get the translation of the English news in Hindi. And these are so the individual news items are small, can be read in 1 or 2 minutes by an adult and in 4 to 5 minutes by a child. And sometimes, like in this one, so we do quite a bit of explanation. We never use jargon for the sake of jargon. If we use a tough word or if we use jargon, it will always be explained nicely. How many of you heard about Gwalior and Orchha becoming a UNESCO heritage site? Right?
Mm, not me yet. Yeah.
Okay, so this we have it was in the news 2 days ago, and all the major news networks reported it, except that that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, the government of India handles also reported it. So anyway, this is the detail of what is actually going to happen. UNESCO is going to collaborate with the Tourism Ministry of Madhya Pradesh and work on urban planning in a sustainable way.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So, just trying to understand a little bit about where you are, what stage this is, what stage the downloadable, printable version is. Are you getting traction there? Are you getting it on the website? Uh, what are your thoughts there? I mean, could you just share some of this?
Okay, so on the newspaper, we are now reaching about 10,000 schools all over the country. We've done our own lead building, our own development, and everything. The website is about 2, 3 months old, and we have just started promoting it. So that's where we are at.
Okay.
And
And how many subscribers do you have? I mean, if you want to share, I mean, approximately where are you with the kids newspaper thing? How many people download it every day or every week or whatever? It may not be every day, right? But
I think the weekly numbers would be about 10 lakh exclusive users, and the daily numbers would be about 1.5 to 2 lakh users.
wow, 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 wow. Okay, so you're saying that means that many people actually download this printable version.
So, since our distribution model in June became largely through the schools are sharing it with the children, and the children are either reading it online or taking a printout.
Is
I
there a
think there.
So I'm going to now we'll gradually get into the questions, and so there are a lot of questions that folks have, right? So I'm just going to start looking at questions, and if anyone wants to add, just ask questions in the chat so that we'll just kind of get a better sense of what you do. I think one question that everyone has in mind is, are you tackling age groups? Because obviously a 7 or an 8-year-old kid is different from an 11-year-old kid, right? Is there a way to uh, so is there a particular age group that you have in mind, or a range that you're catering to better than anyone else?
So, many people, in fact, this is the first question I encounter everywhere, and you will be surprised to hear this, that when we work with the children, this age group differentiation sort of vanishes. Currently, most educational products that are offered to children are offered either by age or by or by their grade, classes 4 to 5, classes 2 to 3, so on and so forth. But when you look at the newspaper, it has fairly mixed content. It has something for the 15, 16-year-old and something for the 6-year-old. And very surprisingly, and I get on the phone with parents and children very often, they come back and tell us that that is why they like the paper, because their 6-year-old is doing advanced reading and their 12-year-old is doing, we do very basic Sanskrit, Hindi, Tamil stuff, is trying to uh, do that kind of reading.
Got it. And the contributors to this, you said, is this in-house team, or is this like you're getting parents to write, or is this community driven?
We are so it is, we are an internal team. We generate our own content, and most of the people on that team are parents themselves.
Yeah,
That's a criterion for joining the editorial board.
got it, got it, got it. So I'm just taking a look at. Okay, so there are a few suggestions that people are already leaving for you on your unsolved page and things like that. You could come in. Yeah. So some of the suggestions he's saying is that work on making it a little more child friendly, your online website, right? Because right now it looks like a blog, a WordPress blog with and the mixed language content. Even I have a suggestion there. I don't know if he's saying, but the mixed language content is a little confusing. Like there are some people who prefer reading in English, some people who prefer reading in Hindi. But if you have both on the website, neither of them know whether it's for them. So it's better to get that off maybe right at the start. Do you want to read in English or in Hindi? Right? And then
Ah, right.
show them a completely Hindi site or a completely English site. Right.
Okay.
So that will, yeah, I mean, yeah, just get that out of the way. That's a kind of a personalization element, right? So,
ठीक है.
yeah, make it more child friendly. Oops, there's a lot of suggestions here. Okay, Kirtiman, you make it better to just come up, and share it. Yeah, yeah. For me, it'd be hard to cover all of that. It'll also be good, Nidhi, if you shared a link to your website in the chat so that people can easily access it.
Hey, Nidhi. Hi, Iswar.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Well, first of all, it's really a nice concept, and it's a good market fit as well because, like you said, there's a vacuum, right? Still, after starting this, you are the only newspaper for the kids delivering to home in a virtual way, where anyone can download print and all that. So, on the e-paper front, I don't have any addition for now, because your layout worked very well, what you shown on the screen, and then you have content availability from British Council and everything. So that part is solved, right? The problem, or rather, the my concerns are related to the website. Right now, you're using a WordPress website for your portal where it's all listing like a blog post, right? If I go to any regular blogger website, it seems like that all the articles are shown there with some thumbnail, and if I click, I get to read a lot of text. That's it, right? So from a kid's standpoint, that particular part isn't very intuitive. I can get bored with the information flow, lot of text. Rather, if you can try to include some illustrations or some cartoons, or like how you have on your e-paper, right? I saw that on your front page you had a small call out bubble at the bottom with some Google stuff written on it. I couldn't read the complete line, but something was there, right? So in between, you can include some fun facts, for instance, on the article, like a highlight. And then, yeah, you should try to separate the languages. Right now, it's a mixed language, right? So I'm reading English articles and suddenly it shows me some Hindi, and it could be possible that Hindi is not my primary language even in India. So, that creates a confusion. So if you give me a filter on the top to select the language and then show me the content accordingly, as a kid it would be more valuable because then I can be focused more on the content rather than getting confused with the language switch. um, then I saw that you have included social media links everywhere. On our each article, there is a share on Twitter, share on Facebook, right? At the bottom towards the end. Even on your homepage, you have an Instagram link. If you want to be kids directed, try to stay away from social media, inclusions. I understand that this is more important for you to get visibility across the social platforms, but don't leave it in front of the kids to share, because if your primary audience is kid and they click on share on Facebook or share on Twitter, right? They are now directed to Twitter, and Twitter is full of tweets and all the information there. They can divert it completely, lose the track, and get into something which no one would want to, like the information flow which is not relevant at all, fake news and everything there, right? So the main concept of this portal is to pull kids away from the negative news and non-relevant news, right? And by integrating that social media sharing, somehow it's pushing kids back to, knowingly or unknowingly, they might click on it, and once they click on it, they would explore that aspect, and it would be hard for them. And finally, I would say add a age filter, like everyone is saying, because that age, with the age filter group, you can exclude the news like Vodafone tax evasion. Right now, it's on the portal, right? For a 8-year old kids, it's very hard to understand what is tax, what is evasion, why is Vodafone is sued a government, or what is the penalty and all that. Rather, if you put a age filter, those news can be filtered out from that particular readers, giving a little more personalization. They don't need to be registered users as on a portal, but just a drop down to apply the filter based on the tags.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe two ages is good enough, 7 to 11 or 7 to 12, and then
Yeah,
13 to
yeah,
18. Right? Yeah.
that Nidhi can work on,
Yeah.
based on her experience with the kids domain and community experience.
Yeah.
That decision is up to her, that how she want to group that. But yes, at least there should be some filtration based on the news level. you know and the very last suggestion is, many might disagree, but I would strongly suggest move away from WordPress as your choice of CMS,
What would
especially
you
when you're
recommend?
uh, I don't have any specific recommendation. Maybe you should look into getting some custom-made solution for your platform, but move away from the WordPress. It's most used CMS. It's one of the most used CMS. That's why it's most vulnerable as well. There are targeted attacks being done on WordPress website here and there. And unless you have a IT workforce to take care of, doing upgrades for the plugins and the CMS on like a daily basis, the maintenance, it would be very hard to maintain it in a long run. And in that case, since you are dealing with kids content, like the kids information and everything, it could create some complication in long run. So I would suggest, since you have just started on the portal, right, and you want to evolve, so for a trial or like a MVP for the portal, it might work, but then you should start looking into getting a custom solution or doing something different than WordPress. There could be some layer of CMS. There are a lot of CMS platform which allow you to build the visual layer while leaving the control of all the content and the plugins in your hand, without exposing it to the end public. So your end website could be a static version generated automatically from your CMS running in a behind a firewall and a private VPC. So look into that aspect.
Got it. Got it. Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Kitiman.
One sec, Kirtiman, before you go, do you have an
Yeah.
example of a good look and feel that is child friendly that we can benchmark
Um,
with?
well, I would look around and share some URLs on your unsolved page and comment of my original suggestion.
Okay.
So but I would say that it should involve some cartoon characters around that, and some breathing. Like right now, it's very tight layout. By that I mean the two articles are placed adjoining without giving much breathing space, and the images all are square. I would look into that and share some links on unsolved page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. One related suggestion on the look and feel, Nidhi, that I have was that there should be a few more images of children everywhere. I mean, like actual children. Like I remember long ago, the Hindi used to have this kids version and stuff like that when I was a kid, right? When they used to have these competitions, you would actually be able to win something. There'll be a poem written by a child that will be featured there, right? So somewhere there, having the photo of the child gives them a little bit of a feel that hey, my thing got published here, right? And yours can be too, right? So whoever is the reader can also get it done, and that's also kind of not just inculcating the reading habit, but probably a writing habit or a poem habit or a send us some art that you created. It will cause a lot more engagement.
So we don't publish children's pictures because of security. We also don't publish the location of any child.
Okay. I mean, I understand that. Okay. I mean, it's almost like a prize thing, right? Okay, but okay, I'll leave it to you. It's just a brainstorming session, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
leave you to think about that. Here is a few more suggestions. Vishal has a suggestion. Vishal, would you like to just come up and talk about that? SMS, WhatsApp sounds like an interesting way to distribute. I'll take it anyway. I'm not sure if he's joining in from a laptop or from a mobile. You can only, yeah. Sorry, guys, trying to go through all of the suggestions. Hey, Vishal, over to you. Yeah.
Hi. So, I mean, there's the readability and readership is actually a very important matrix. I mean, that will not only help, Nidhi, to, you to modify the content or, take it to a different level, as well as, you looking in for some kind of monetization,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, it is a very difficult thing to do in an e-newspaper, but I think there are solutions like Bitly which can be used and that can be circulated via you can actually have a like daily link being generated, circulated via WhatsApp or SMS to a
Mm-hmm.
parent or a children, whichever some parents would say no, it should come to my phone so that I can monitor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some might give their children a phone, if they're above 15, 16, whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
then it will become much easier to actually see the readership, to see how much time they have spent on the website, because you also have a unique link generated, and then you can actually profile it and then take it to the next level of customization. That will be a lot of data that you'll have.
Mm-hmm.
And once that data is there, and once you see that the engagement level is very, very high, then probably a charging mode, some kind of a nominal charge can be there. Things like that can happen. I mean, I'm assuming, because I had a talk with Chakradhar as well, and you were trying to see how you will be able to monetize it and actually take it to the next level, because eventually, the initiative is very, very good, but the point is, you have to make it commercially viable so that you can
Yeah.
add on more people in the team, and you can, take it to a different level. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things is this one, and I'm not a tech guy, but I understand it a little bit. I can put up, this suggestion in detail on the Unsolved page, and maybe someone else who has a tech background can have a look at it and work, give you some more suggestions on this.
Please do. That will be very helpful.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot, Vishal. Just dropping you off. I think one thing it feels a little easier. I got a lot of suggestions. Hey Deepak, I'll just bring you up, and Swaminatha, you have a lot of suggestions. I can't read it out, so I'm going to
They
ask
are
you.
all brilliant.
Yeah. Hey Deepak.
अ, हेलो सर, गुड मॉर्निंग।
Hey,
आपकी,
hi.
हाँ मैम, आपका मैंने आइडिया पूरी तरह से भी मतलब वायबिलिटी देखा, आपका पूरा वर्नेबिलिटी टेस्ट किया थोड़ी देर पहले तक आपका वेबसाइट का। तो मैं एक चीज बताना चाहता हूँ कि अभी आपने वर्डप्रेस यूज किया है, इसके अलावा भी
Mm-hmm.
बहुत सारे फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ओपन सोर्स सॉफ्टवेयर अवेलेबल है मार्केट में, जो
Okay.
जिनमें यूआई से लेके सारा कुछ आपको मिलेगा। मतलब ऑनलाइन में आपको मतलब एक यूजर फ्रेंडली अपने कस्टमर के लिए, मतलब कस्टमर का मतलब ये कि चिल्ड्रंस के लिए आप अभी मैगजीन को मतलब टारगेट कर रहे हो। लेकिन बच्चों के साथ सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम यह है कि बच्चों के लिए ऐसा कोई भी वेबसाइट पर्टिकुलर नहीं है आज के टाइम मार्केट में, जो उनको प्रॉपर्ली करेक्ट इन्फॉर्मेशन करेक्ट टाइम पर दे पाए, या उनका एक
हाँ.
कोलैबोरेटिव सिस्टम बना पाए। ठीक है,
हाँ.
तो लाइक अभी सबसे पहले जो हमारे अटेंडी थे जो सबसे पहले बोल रहे थे, उन्होंने एक सजेशन दिया कि ये यूजर फ्रेंडली होना चाहिए और बच्चों को सोशल मीडिया पे लिंक नहीं करना चाहिए। तो वो मेरे
Mm-hmm.
को सजेशन पसंद आया, लेकिन मैंने भी एक प्रोजेक्ट पे काम किया था जब मैं कॉलेज में था, लाइक 2008 में। तो उसका नाम रखा था मैंने स्पुंडू। स्पुंडू वाज अ काइंड ऑफ स्कूल नेटवर्क। मतलब स्कूल में क्या होता है कि बहुत सारे स्कूल्स को कनेक्ट करके आपस में उन सारे बच्चों को कोलैबोरेट करा सकते हो, लाइक नोट्स से लेके सारा कुछ एक जगह पर अगर मिल जाएगा तो सारे बच्चे, आपको एक बड़ी ऑडियंस मिल जाएगी। लाइक आप अगर उसके बाद आप एक सब्सक्रिप्शन प्लान से लेके कुछ भी आप इंट्रोड्यूस करते हो, तो पेरेंट्स खुद चाहेंगे कि किसी और नेटवर्क पे बच्चे जाएं ही ना।
Mm-hmm.
और उसके बाद ये एक अल्टरनेटिव सॉल्यूशन हो सकता है आज के टाइम के मार्केट को देखते हुए, कि बायजूस से लेके वेदांतु तक आपको मतलब हेल्प करेंगे आपका कंटेंट डिलीवर करने में। और उसके बाद एक सब्सक्रिप्शन नेटवर्क आप तैयार कर सकते हो एक सोशल नेटवर्क वेबसाइट पे, जिसको
Mm-hmm.
स्टार्ट करने के लिए एक मैं आपको सजेस्ट कर सकता हूँ, सोशल इंजन नाम का एक प्लेटफॉर्म है, मतलब एक सॉफ्टवेयर
Okay.
है। आप उसको होस्ट कर लो, उस पे आप थीम के लिए ज्यादा से ज्यादा 10-15 हजार रुपए में आप अपनी यूजर फ्रेंडली थीम बना लो, और
Okay.
उसके बाद इसको एज अ सब्सक्रिप्शन मॉडल आप उसको चालू कर सकते हो। और जब आपका पास इतना बड़ा ऑडियंस है, तो आप एक बार उसमें ऐप भी आपको सस्ते में मिल जाएगा। मतलब स्टार्ट के लिए बहुत बेटर है। और मतलब जो आपको पीछे सर्वर सेगमेंट है, हम लोगों के टाइम पे तो मैम सर्वर भी बहुत कॉस्टली होते थे, तो मैं तो अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाता था उस टाइम पर। लेकिन
Mm-hmm.
जब वो आज के टाइम सर्वर इतने सस्ते हैं और साथ में स्केलेबल हैं, कि आपका अगर जैसे जैसे डेटा बढ़े, क्योंकि सोशल नेटवर्क में क्या होता है कि आपको लगभग 1 महीने 2 महीने 3 महीने, लगभग 3 महीने तक तो ऑडियंस बहुत स्लो आती है, लेकिन जैसे ही
Mm-hmm.
राइट टारगेटेड ऑडियंस पे आपका ये क्लिक होता है, तो अचानक से आपको बूम मिलता है। मेरा मतलब लास्ट एक्सपीरियंस जो था, लगभग मेरे वेबसाइट पे 1 महीने में मतलब 1 लाख लोग के करीब आ गए थे। और उसके बाद अचानक से 27 लाख लोग आए थे थर्ड थर्ड महीने में। और इतना बड़ा ट्रैफिक मेरी वेबसाइट झेल नहीं पाई, तो वो वेबसाइट मतलब बंद हो गई थी। उस टाइम पैसे भी नहीं थे कि उसको मैं दोबारा ऑन कर पाऊं। लेकिन मैं आपको सजेस्ट कर सकता हूँ कि आज के टाइम पे ये बना पाना बहुत सस्ता भी है और बहुत इजी है। बस आपके पास नेटवर्क हो तो आप इसको आराम से चला सकते हो। क्योंकि मैं जितना न्यूज मैगजीन के बारे में समझता हूँ, न्यूज मैगजीन बच्चों को ना तो उनके पेरेंट्स सजेस्ट करते हैं आज के टाइम पर। इवन क्योंकि ऑनलाइन सर्फिंग में बच्चा क्या कर रहा है किसी को नहीं पता, वो थोड़ी देर बाद कार्टून खोल लेगा। मेरी भी एक छोटी बेटी है, उसको मैं कुछ भी खोल के दिखाता हूँ तो वो बाद में केवल कार्टून खोलती है, और उसको कुछ नहीं चाहिए उसके अलावा। और उसके बाद आप कोई भी बात बताओ उसको समझ में ही नहीं आता। तो
Okay.
मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि अगर आपको बच्चे को टारगेटेड ऑडियंस बनाना है या हमें उनसे मोनेटाइज भी करना है, इवन हमें, क्योंकि हमारे पास एक कोई भी वेंचर होता है मैम बिना पैसे के नहीं चलता मेरे हिसाब से
हाँ.
तो।
हम्म.
अब अगर आपको एक बड़ा अमाउंट गेन करना है कम टाइम में, जिसको आप प्रॉपरली मतलब बना सकते हो, और एक बड़ी ऑडियंस को आपको टारगेट करना है जो कि आपके पास एंगेज्ड रहे, हमेशा एंगेज्ड रहे, तो
हम्म.
आज के टाइम देखिए बायजूस से लेके वेदांतु ने सबने बच्चों को टैबलेट फ्रेंडली बना दिया है। तो आपके
हाँ.
पास बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि आप उनके
हम्म.
टैबलेट का एक प्रॉपरली ऐप तैयार करके दे दो, ठीक है,
हम्म.
और उनको बस ऐप पे आप एक सोशल नेटवर्क दे दो, सारे के सारे बच्चे एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे कनेक्ट हो जाएंगे, आप जितना न्यूज पब्लिश करना चाहो उतना कर लो।
दीपक, can I just show you something once and then मुझे आपसे और एडवाइस बाद में चाहिए होगा.
हाँ हाँ,
Sir, is it okay to share the screen once again?
Yeah,
यस यस,
sure, sir, please do.
प्लीज डू
And
मैम, प्लीज डू मैम।
ये दीपक हमारा बच्चों का प्लेटफॉर्म है, जो आपने कहा एग्जैक्टली ये डायरेक्टली चाइल्ड टू चाइल्ड है, इसमें अडल्ट अलाउड नहीं है.
हाँ हाँ
और यहाँ पे हम लोग बजाय बच्चों को फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और डोपामीन एडिक्ट बनाने के, वी हैव दीज इंटरेस्ट बेस्ड फोरम्स.
मैम,
और
समझ गया
ठीक है, और यहाँ बच्चे आके एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट करते हैं.
मैम। विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, मैं
हम्म.
आपके आइडिया की बहुत रिस्पेक्ट कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैं बता रहा हूँ कि ये एक जो यूजर इंटरफेस है इसका, ये
वो बहुत
आज
बकवास
के,
है.
हाँ हाँ, नहीं वो बकवास नहीं है, वो मैं किसी भी यूजर इंटरफेस को बकवास नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि जिसने भी बनाया होगा उसने बहुत मेहनत करी होगी। तो मैं तो इतना जानता हूँ कि अगर आपने एक यूजर इंटरफेस लिया है और बच्चों के लिए एक सर्फिंग के लिए वेबसाइट दे दी है, तो बच्चे ना, आपको क्या लगता है कि एक यूआरएल के बाद वो दूसरी यूआरएल में आराम से जा सकते हैं?
हाँ.
इवन आज के टाइम पे जो आप भी जानते हो, हम लोगों के टाइम पे जो एसक्यूएल इंजेक्शन होता था, सारा कुछ होता था, वो अभी भी पॉसिबल है। मेरी मतलब मैं जिस एज में काम करता था, मैं क्लास 12 तक हैकिंग करना सीख गया था। तो
हम्म.
तो उस टाइम की बात बता रहा हूँ, तो उधर पे इतना बच्चे एक्टिव हो चुके थे कि आपका वेबसाइट को उन्हें खत्म करने में ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा।
ठीक
लेकिन
है.
लेकिन मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि अगर आप एक प्रॉपरली टाइम दे रहे हो, देखो हर इंसान का एक टाइम इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, और टाइम टाइम का क्या है कि आपने जितना भी एक वेंचर को टाइम दिया, उसकी स्केलेबिलिटी उसी टाइम के अकॉर्डिंग मतलब मल्टीप्लाई हो जाए। क्योंकि अगर आपने आज एक दिन दिया और आपके पास 2 दिन का आउटकम आया, तो आप 2 दिन फिर से दो, फिर उसके बाद 4 दिन का आएगा, इसको मल्टीप्लाई करते जाओ, लगभग आपके पास 3 से 4 महीने के अंदर मतलब उसका आउटकम आना स्टार्ट हो जाए। जब आप उसको प्रपोज करो किसी वीसी को या मे बी अपने ही सेल्फ फंड से, तो आपके पास अपने आप पैसा आना स्टार्ट हो जाए, ताकि उसकी स्केलेबिलिटी, उसकी टेक्नोलॉजी पे आप और पैसा खर्च कर पाओ।
ठीक है.
तो मेरा कहने का मतलब यह है कि बच्चे, मैम देखिए, ब्राउजर को खोल के बच्चे अट्रैक्ट नहीं हो सकते आज की डेट में, क्योंकि आप भी देखो, आप आपको एक इंस्पिरेशन मिलेगा, जैसे वेदांतु है या बायजूस है, इन लोगों ने क्या किया कि इन्होंने बच्चों को वहीं पे ऐप पे ही स्टक कर दिया, कोई लिंक ही नहीं खुलती उसके अलावा।
I'm going to pause the conversation a bit. I know that both of you would like to connect, on a longer conversation. If Deepak could just drop a message on your page. It's the first one. It's in the spotlight, and both of you can just connect on LinkedIn, email, and kind of just have a longer conversation. I want to
ठीक है.
take some more suggestions also. So because it's a 1 hour session, I have to take as much as possible, right? So. Deepak, thank you so much. Suggestions are extremely awesome, and especially that whole kids network thing. I don't know why people have not thought about it. It makes sense, So it makes sense, and I don't know what the cons are, but it makes sense to me, right? That there's a space for kids, like there's a kids YouTube, right? Therefore, there should be a kids network. Let them go there and kind of mingle with other kids. It's a safe space where there's a clear adult filter, right? There's absolutely zero adult into that network. Some form of verification mechanism. So it makes a lot of sense, but I'm just going to pause this. I want to just take a few more suggestions from other folks as well. Thanks, people.
ओके, थैंक यू।
Thank you. Okay, Swaminath, you had like a whole load of suggestions. I think Ajay over here has a suggestion saying monetizing just news is tricky, right? Because people are used to news for free, So that's a good point to kind of note there. Um,
Hey, hi. Very, very
Hi.
A very good attempt. Hence, thought I'll just go with my flow on suggestions. I'll pick and choose one or two of them, which is when the rest, I put it in your
Hmm.
page to read. See, the Ananda Vikatan Tamil Daily, Tamil
Hmm.
Weekly has a scheme called Students Reporter. I mean, I was one of those. We used to fascinate to become one in that network, and that's a tag or a badge in our school college days, right? They have
Wonderful.
programs for both kids at the school level as well as in the college level, which
Mm-hmm.
also means that you are cultivating a reading habit, writing habit, and on top of it, they have to get that badge for that. And they even get into a physical training. There are workshops conducted, etc., that give you a brand name, then early entry into the point of market entry, which is the kids, right, in the schools, and on top of it the content curation becomes much more easier, so it's like a
Mm-hmm.
deal, right? It has been effectively running for what, 25, 30, 40 years as of at least I know, but it could be much older than that. And a lot of these good literary seniors who are in Tamil Nadu are either a student reporter or someone who have got groomed in those workshops. So
Mm-hmm.
you could try that. It is a very effective method as per my understanding.
Mm.
That is one. Second, yeah, I mean the advertisement piece. I don't know. You said it is getting introduced by someone, but that's a big distraction. I wouldn't.
Mm.
I mean, I've stopped allowing my kids to get into many websites largely because the advertisement channel takes them to almost every crap available in the industry, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the purpose gets defeated because we wanted them to look at very curated content versus that's not the case. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Third entity which I was looking at is like today only reading doesn't excite the kids anymore. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
content with video, bring that into it, a more secured video and reading content. That's when like the habit can be cultivated and groomed and grown, right? So somewhere only this might over a period of time that fatigueness or the boringness comes in, they stop reading it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And leverage Sudhamurthy's network, and if you can, that is another entity.
How
And
do we get in touch with them?
so she's very receptive. I mean, she is very active in social media as well. You could
Mm-hmm.
straight away write to her, or let me check. I can also come back to you. She really helps in promoting people of that nature, and if it's for a good cause, and definitely, I'm sure she will support you. Um,
Wonderful.
then the other observation is, from again the books which I saw in your digital entity is very, very, very limited. I mean, like there are so many, especially teen books separately, motivational books separately, and all that. You might want to bring them and try to create a channel through your platform so that the revenue part is sorted out.
Mm.
Even somebody who is doing a do-it-yourself kit, engaging students, a lot of them are there using the Facebook and other social media very effectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Bringing that into your platform and making more sales because you have a captive audience, that is
Mm.
another suggestion. But the last one, really, what I wanted to do is this unsolved network which Ishwar is creating. He might be able to talk to you better on that. I think that with this combined, I can trust my kids, screen time, and like allow both of them to be like on this digital media, right? So otherwise, I'm struggling with such an entity where I take the how do I say, attention off them, but allow them to access mobile or phone, mobile or tablet. So that would be
Mm-hmm.
another good thing. I mean, that's what I think, right?
I actually never ever thought of this use case for Unsolved.network, right? So, but basically, it's a platform which you can be adapted to join to launch an idea-based generation engine where people can then talk to each other. Now, whether that idea is from adults or whether it's from kids, so then it can be an idea generation engine. You can share new ideas that are there in the world. It can sparkle their minds and things like that. But I had never even remotely thought of this use case.
You have to pilot it, Ishwar. I'm sure my family will be my kids would be contributing first. If you see, they sit and do some 100 things every day. I
Yeah.
could I could get inspired from them. And of course, every other kid today is very well informed, and they have access to so much of information. They're like bubbling with ideas. Now, how do
Yeah.
you analyze that and actively engage them? That could be a very I mean, news is one side of the consumption, right? When you create more content and engage them, that the larger objective of a telling them the right thing, as well as b making them to consume and work on that would be is what I why I suggested that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we actually this brainstorm added to unsolved unsolved comments as well, right?
Hmm. So, Aminat, can I please ask two questions?
Yeah, please.
One, where did you encounter ads?
I went to see. There are a couple of usability which I saw. The link in which you gave me, right?
Kidsnews.
One was like it was going from one website to another website. I'll tell you. Even the domain name changed. Just one minute.
The in children's post, it becomes the children's post instead of kidsnews.top.
Correct, correct. So when you go to the kidsnews.top, and then from there, I moved on to some other website. Like it just kept me moving from one, and in that I saw advertisements as well.
So, I'll just one sec.
Mhm.
Is this where you saw ads?
1 minute. You're showing something. I was going to my screen to see that. Just give me a minute. Not here, right? Not in this. There was one more link from which I accessed your post. Let me.
Maybe if you can replicate that, you
Yeah,
can share
we'll do
the
that.
link to something on her unsolved page.
We'll do that. We'll definitely do that.
So just saying where you managed to go if you find it again, right?
Yeah.
So
Definitely, we'll do that. And
uh,
and that's one thing you said. What is the second question?
Second question is, how old are your children?
13 and 8.
Okay. Would they consider coming to this social media platform that we have only for children to talk to each other?
I mean, I was thinking that is not yet there. I mean, they are not yet there, but this pandemic actually created me a lot of awareness. I mean, gave me a lot of awareness. These guys have, all their classes are happening in teams, and sisters sitting in the same room are chatting on the teams, right? I was like, okay, so I'm still seeing that this is coming up. I mean, if they are doing, almost all the kids are doing, right? That's a presumption I'm making.
Huh. So that's why we also made this website so that they can have like safe conversations with each other.
Exactly.
Okay. So as a parent, what would you look for in a platform like that before allowing your children to come on board?
An auto engine which keeps looking for the words, ensure that no abusive content or content which are not, acceptable being exchanged, and further posts, links are being shared for them to go around. Personal videos and all that are not uploaded, right? I mean, they're like so liberal in many places. I've seen in teams that people have just uploaded a lot of stupid photos and all that. So somewhere that monitoring ability, if that is there, I mean, to some extent, I can't completely stop, but as long as they are not taken out of that piece of whatever we are trying to curate, would be very happy to subscribe to it, right?
Okay, in the chat, I've just put a link on about this website. Later, perhaps, could you share your feedback as a parent?
Definitely, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Swami. There's also a bunch of other suggestions that he's left here, and I'm thinking he would have left it on your
Yeah,
unsolved as
yeah.
well. Right. So you can probably go through it one at a time. I'm just going to try and take a few more. We are trying to we have another 10 minutes, right? So I'm just going to try and get as much as I can from the company. Harshala, you wanted to come up and talk like a customer of this, right? So do you want to just come up? And Ajay as well, would be great if you're joining in from a laptop to have you over next, and then we'll kind of call it a great session. Yeah. Harshala, I'll just try and invite you in case you're not raising your hand. Yeah. Ajay, I'll bring you up just next. Yeah.
So, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Harshla.
I just wanted to share my experience. I also had this newspaper when I was a kid. We used to have a newspaper called DNA. daily news and analysis. I'm not sure if it's available now, but in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9,
It's a little hard to
last
hear
time.
you. I don't know if it's just me or if Nidhi, are you able to understand?
No, very broken.
Okay, okay, 1 minute. Are you able to hear now?
Yeah, yeah.
Better.
Okay, so I just wanted to share my experience. Where we had this newspaper called DNA, and along with that was this newspaper called Yeah, which meant young adult. So it was pretty good newspaper. I learned a lot, because of that. They covered very interesting topics. There was this dedicated page for science, dedicated page for puzzles and everything, and art which was submitted by kids, and the news was since it was young adult, it was not very kiddish or anything like that, right? It had really good stuff, a dumbed down version of uh, not anything political. I don't remember anything political, but anything related to some new development that is happening in science stream, in art, philosophy, and stuff like that. So very clean newspaper and very fun to read, and it was around 10 rupees, and I remember that they also had a fest sort of a thing, which I think they might have had partnered with Disney for that, because it was filled with Disney related stuff, and people who had a young adult newspaper basically could go in for free, and the subscription. And basically, like, it was a lot of fun. The fest was, it was in this, I'm not sure if you're from Mumbai. It was in the Goregaon area, East area. There's this exhibition center over there, and yeah, I remember taking posters from there about young adult and about other Disney characters and everything. And I was very happy with young adult and happy to have the newspaper to actually be able to attend that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to know. And they featured events as well, which was related to kids, children, about different classes that are around there that one could pick up. It was very fun newspaper. It was it instilled activity, and you know there was no tech at that time. I literally, I'm from 1995, and I have grown with Facebook basically in 2008. So I was in 8th standard. I started my teenage years with Facebook,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
yeah, it was a rage. And at that time, young adult did not have anything related to social media, and I wasn't connected to anyone, other kids that were there who were reading the newspaper in any way.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not sure if I felt the need also, because I had my own set of friends, and
Hmm.
I I, uh, I just discussed anything about the newspaper with my school friends or my building friends as such. But yeah, it would have been cool if I would have been connected with others who have read the newspaper also, people who are contributing over there. Um,
Hmm.
and sharing their paintings and articles, written work or stuff like that. But yeah, so that was not there, and social media was not a big thing. It was just started, it started in 2008. This was in 5, 6, 7 also. So yeah, that's what I mean. I just I'm not, it's not there anymore. I'm not sure if it's there anymore, but you can definitely check out the archives and see how they have structured their newspaper. To the point where I even remember it even today. So you can definitely check it out, and how they have managed, how they partnered with DNA, because they were also a new newspaper, and they kind of gave it as a supplement. It came every Sunday only. That's it, and no other days. And I used to eagerly wait for the Sunday newspaper at that time. So they
God.
had this, if you can see, scarcity also applied over here. So because kids are very impatient, I feel.
So,
Uh,
Harshita, could you tell me what was the way that you were engaged at that point in time? Was it because of the news articles? Was there like some competition? Was there a challenge? Because I also see Manoj saying, can you give weekly challenges or something for a kid to do? Like, let's say, even if the weekly challenge, like this is something that I've tried as a parent, right? I would tell my son, go and learn any one new thing on YouTube, right? And sometimes he wouldn't do that. So I would tell him, go learn a magic trick on YouTube, right? And then he won't know which magic trick to search for. So I would go look up a magic trick and then show it to him. So he would learn something, he would have fun as well, right? But just one magic trick to learn, one let's say a piece of art to create, right? Or learn origami, just create a fish out of nothing, whatever, right? So some of these challenges enable that engagement, and it also means that you're a learning network and things like that. That engagement piece, right, needs to be solved, because news, yeah, I mean, as much as you're trying to make it educative and therefore parents like it, but I'm not sure how much the children themselves will be enthused by it. They need all of this. Like our world was reading content, right? I mean, like when we were kids, we would read a newspaper, we would read something. Their world is I click and I see a video, right? So, and I keep seeing videos. So the world has changed a bit, and I guess that's what even Swami was mentioning, about world changing a bit, and how do we integrate video components, idea components, craft components, and then showcase component, right? The showcase component is very important. Like I created this, and then let's say even if it's like people are giving likes or whatever else, but if it's a safe space and there are people saying, hey, I did this, then that you're creating a good space, for people to share their art, share their songs, share things, right? And maybe beyond an environment which is just school.
Yeah, like I used to straight away jump. Even today, I straight away jump to crosswords and the puzzles area, and then I go and visit the whole sick news, whatever is out there. These days, I don't really read newspapers. Also, I directly take it from digital content. So you need to see the behavior of kids now. Okay, my time was different, and I feel old while saying this, but yeah, my time was different, and the behavior now has definitely changed. But kids, interestingly, do want these challenges, and they will jump to the fun section first, and then they will go and start consuming the other areas. And the other areas in young adult were also fun, by the way. Like I remember the article, they had one complete page article on space exploration at that time. Space tourism at that time, so it was really good. They had done good research and writing about virgin and all those things, so it was good. And even if they are choosing the topics now, they are very those topics were something that kids would like. It would excite kids, like space tourism, it would excite kids, and they would end up reading the whole thing. I remember I used to cut out from these. They had about animals. Like there used to be one section where used to give information about one particular animal, some unique animal, and it was good. I used to take cutouts of that. It was very much fun, and yeah. So that's what I just sharing my thing as a customer, how I used to interact with the paper and how the paper was. Definitely check out their archives if it's available.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Harshla. Um, uh, I'm just trying to see if I can pull up Ajay just before we kind of uh, roll off this. Yeah. Yeah, Ajay, just handing over the mic.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Uh, so, couple of observations on the product side. When I looked at the website, and I think the idea is good. I mean, if you're really committed to solve the problem, to kind of bring in more insights, more engaging content for kids or the younger generation. So the format has to kind of change, right? So it typically looks like a Times of India website, but kids are kind of not used to grab so much of information in one single screen. So the formatting, the packaging of the product has to kind of evolve. And I think I also felt personally, the first opinion is you're trying to pack in too many things. You just need I mean, people should have a want with the product, right? So they should come to the product every day. So if you are able to find that one element, basically that solves the problem. So that you have people coming in every day, so your retention is solved. You still have to then identify, okay, retention is solved. Let me monetize now because people are coming to you every day. So it's one of the toughest problem to start as a news because content wise you're asking people to curate, you technically don't own any ip, you're just renting out a platform which any other portal can do, so you just become a feature for a byju's or any other e-learning platforms which are out there. So my first thinking is, what is a core problem you want to solve? You want to engage kids 1 hour every day. That's still doable. Every day you can probably do a YouTube show and ask people to kids to join. over a period of time, you can ask kids to be host itself. Once you achieve a sustainable audience, so that you're promoting kind of public speaking. So there has to be a core motive for the platform. It cannot be only news. Or even I think you're generalizing kids. There are multiple personas within kids. A 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 is a separate bracket altogether from 5 to 10, right? So uh, I think a lot more deep dive should be done. If you want to go in a pure digital way, I think you need to have a core hook. I think it should come to you daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. You need to get these users. Then you should actually look at monetization, because think of this: kids are never going to pay out of their pocket. It's the parent. But if the parent is convinced that the kid is being retained, engaged over a period of time, I think monetization will automatically open up. That the core value has to be created first. Only news, I don't think it's a core value, because you're just a Google search away, right? I can go to another portal right away. But let me say this platform just does science talks, or something about an activity or a fun activity, something every, just like the platform we have. But again, it can be kind of curated to kids. And then you can actually look at, okay, you do a webinar, you show some kids, but you are allowing them to buy the kit at the end of the webinar also, so that they can try at home. So something has to be connected. You have to solve one problem. I think you're taking too many check boxes now. I'll add this, but try to execute one problem in a really good way where you have some retention. Even 10 kids come back every day for a month, that means you've solved a problem. You have created a need for these kids. And then you have to look at, okay, this is my age group, and I have 10 years to 20, 15 years kids. So now what is that? What are the monetization I can do? Can I do books with them? Can I resell some services, online services? So you can be that platform. See, getting the attention is really the hardest part here. Again, putting out in a news format is a good attempt, but I'm just trying to focus how we can actually get traction, right? How we can actually be in the part to get some bit of success. So my observation is, you need to find out the real problem. You need to go after what users want. It can be anything. It can be a webinar. If you're going to do digital play, you need to look at all the formats and kind of water it down to kids and just target that product. So it can be just a webinar. You're just a YouTube channel who does kids shows every week. And again, I think daily is also adding a lot of stress in the initial days. I think you should probably look at a easier format, like a weekly format, so that you can actually pack more, because daily kind of watered down until unless you have a larger team. But if you are doing it with a small group, I think daily is still a risk, because the quality will not be there. And if parents are convinced with the quality, I think monetization will open up. Till then, you have to kind of sell it to, you have to convince the kid to come back. And once the kid is kind of addicted to the platform, I think parents will spend, or open up the monetization. You can also look at affiliate model, but again, that's B2B sales altogether. You have to go, and I think networking plays a big role there. You have to be more, taking more calls and partnerships and doing that. But I'm just saying, my observation is, look at the format, question the persona. Is this format of the product really relevant to the persona what you're targeting? And try to look at one or two things where you can actually really build traction, and then just focus on the traction, add monetization elements to it. That's my session, Ishwar.
Hey, really, really neat. I mean, Nidhi, any questions that you have as follow-up for Ajay? I mean, I think I concur with a few things as well, right? But if you have something to say, I'll kind of add a few things just before we close up.
Ajay, you mentioned you have a product. What product is that?
I'm on the IoT space. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. I'm dropping you off, Ajay. Thanks a lot for your suggestion. I'll try and
Yeah.
just summarize these things as much as I can. Uh, Nidhi, the way I'm just trying to see if there is a quick summary of whatever I can recall from the session, right? But broadly, it feels like people are saying news may be a good reading habit to cultivate. So again, whether you're like the online platform itself, what do you want the people to do? Are you saying, hey, this is a place to come and read news? Or is this the place to sparkle the creativity of your child, or rather create that creativity in your child? Or is this a place where they will come and learn to do one innovative thing every week, which they will do and then present? Right? So, what is that one activity somewhere there? And if it is still news, it's fine, but then the news needs to be much more the format. I guess a lot of what Ajay is saying is because the website itself looks like a normal WordPress, and it is, right. But I'm saying it's may not be something that kids are used to. Like if you look at kids' YouTube, it doesn't look like YouTube, right? So that's the critical change that I see. So people are questioning the format as much as this may be version one, and we understand version one and how that's very hard to become version two, version three, version four. But having potentially an eye for what you're seeking and what resonates with the audience may be the killer here. So I think just crazy number of suggestions. I don't think I can actually. You'll have to spend some time reading the chat and reading your unsolved page, to digest all of this. But any final thoughts from you? Maybe.
First of all, thank you. This has been a huge eye-opener session, and I've benefited a lot from all of these suggestions. We are going to look at the UI UX again. Our format is that we bring the children in and we ask them. So that is the format. But I'm going to initiate a research right after this session. And there are some other suggestions that I've taken that I'm going to start working on.
Awesome. A lot of these suggestions, if any of you haven't added it on the unsolved page, try and do that, because sometimes it's hard for a founder to understand, because I understand the brainstorm goes in all directions, right? So sometimes they just need a repository that they can revisit at a later point in time, maybe add it to a product roadmap for a later date, all of that stuff, right? So if you can, please do add it there as well. That's it from us. There is a session post this. I mean, we network on the tables as well for a brief bit. If Nidhi is free, she can join in as well. And just have some casual conversation and then break up, right? I mean, that's roundabout it. Thank you everyone for coming in today. It's been a crazy session with a lot of insightful discussions. I've unfortunately not been able to cover everything in chat. Tried, but yeah, like almost impossible to keep up with just the number of diverse suggestions that were here. But hopefully it's useful for Nidhi, for you, and I've had a lot of fun. So yeah, so it's amazing. Great. Thank you everyone for coming to the weekly brainstorm. Thanks Nidhi, again for sharing what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.